Hi everybody, welcome to engVid.com. I'm Adam. In today's video, I'm going to teach you some more phrasal verbs, but these are a little bit tricky because we're going to look at some eating phrasal verbs. These include food items or food cooking techniques, but the meanings of the phrasal verbs have nothing to do with food or eating. So they're a little bit confusing that way, but they're kind of interesting and very important to know because we use all of these in regular everyday English situations. So again, this is an example. On this side, I've listed food items, things that you can eat, like beef, chicken, fish, duck, clam. Veg is short for vegetables, or milk that you can drink. And here we have eating situations, eating actions or cooking actions. So you can chew or you can swallow. So you chew your food and then you swallow it. You can boil, cut, or use a pan in your cooking. But when we look at the meanings of these phrasal verbs, none of them have anything to do with food or cooking or eating or anything like that. So very interesting to know. So let's get started with beef up. What does it mean to beef up? It doesn't mean, it has nothing to do with cows or bulls or the beef you have in your hamburger or in your stew. To beef up has two meanings actually. On a personal meaning, if a person wants to beef up, he or she wants to get bigger, more muscles. Usually it could be muscles, or it could just be gaining weight, but most people who go to the gym and work out a lot and get bigger muscles, they are beefing up. But you can also beef up something like security. So the police will beef up security when the president comes to visit. That means increase or put more police officers or sort of agents all over the city to make sure there's stronger and more security apparatus, okay? So that is beef up. Chicken out. So again, chicken you can eat. And if you think about a chicken, if you go try to catch a chicken, it will run away. It's a little bit scared of you, right? So that's what chicken out means. It means to be afraid and not do something at the last minute. So let's say there's a group of friends and we go to the sea and there's a big cliff. And from the cliff, you can jump a very long way down into the water. So we have 5 friends and the first one jumps and lands in the water and he's okay. The second one, third, fourth ones jump. The fifth friend comes to the edge of the cliff and looks down, gets very scared and decides to walk down to the water. So he chickened out. He changed his mind because he was scared. He didn't do the jump because he was scared. So chicken out. He chickened out. To fish through. So fish, basically when you go fishing, you take your pole in the water and you're trying to find something. You're trying to catch something. When you fish through some things, files or containers or boxes, you're looking for something, right? You don't necessarily need to know what you're looking for, but you're looking for something specific and you hope that you'll be able to find it. So you're fishing through the container, you're fishing through the file, hoping to find something that you need, hoping to catch it. So similar to going fishing in the sea, you're fishing for something in a box in a file. Okay? Next, duck. So duck, again, very delicious meat, but that's not what we're talking about here. When you duck down means you're bending down because something is coming at you. So if a ball is flying at you, like in a baseball game, and somebody says duck, and you duck down, means you avoid the ball hitting you in the head. Okay? And that's duck down. Duck out. If you're at a party and you may be a little bit bored or you don't like the people there or you just want to go home and sleep, but you don't want everybody to notice, you duck out of the party. You leave quietly, like in secret. So duck out of the party, the room, the office, etc. You can duck out of the office so the boss doesn't see you leaving. Okay? Clam. A clam is like a little shellfish and it looks like this and then it opens up in the water and it comes in. There's a little meat inside. Again, very delicious, but it's also a living thing. If you clam up, which is a little strange because a clam like opens and closes its shell. When it's up, it's open. But when we say to clam up, it means to shut the mouth. So if somebody clams up, they stop talking. They become very shy or very nervous, and they don't say anything because they don't want to make a mistake or they don't want to embarrass themselves, whatever the situation. If you tell someone clam up, which is a little bit old-fashioned, people don't really say anymore, it basically means shut up. Don't talk anymore. Older people might still say it, like older teachers might say it to little kids, but a little bit old-fashioned. We usually talk about a person's reaction. So a teacher called the student, and the student was very nervous and clammed up. Just didn't speak and didn't say anything, didn't do anything. To veg out. So a vegetable, if you think, what does a vegetable do? Well, a vegetable doesn't do anything. It's not an animate thing, right? It's not an animal. It just lies there. It just sits, doesn't do anything. So to veg out means to relax. Just stay at home on your couch and do nothing. Maybe watch TV. So relax, veg out. To milk for. Now, two ways. To milk someone or something for something else. Means to try to squeeze something out of someone. So if you milk, if you think about a con artist, like a person who cheats people for money, this con artist will try to milk his victim for all the money they have. He will try to squeeze all their money out of them. So think about a cow. You squeeze the udders trying to get all the milk out. If you have a person like a victim and you're trying to cheat them for money, you squeeze all the money out of them. You milk them for all their money. And you can use it in other situations. My boss is on vacation, so I will milk the time he's away for all the pleasure I can get. So I'm not going to work too hard because the boss can't see anything. I will milk the situation and just relax for a couple of weeks. Okay, so these are food items. Now let's talk about eating or cooking. So to chew. That's chewing. You put the food in your mouth, you break it down with your teeth. But if you chew over something, you're thinking about it. You're considering it. Okay? So the boss offered me a raise and a promotion, but I have to work an extra day per week and my vacation time will be shorter. So I say to him, that's a good offer. Let me chew it over and I'll tell you next week. Let me consider it. Let me think about it. And then the next week comes and I say to my boss, no thank you. I'll keep my salary. I'll keep my position. I want to keep my vacations. So my boss gets very, very angry and he chews me out. So to chew out means to yell at someone, to be angry at someone and yell at them and tell them all the bad things you want to say to them. So it's almost like he puts me in his mouth and chews me and then spits me out, but not literally, right? Just to yell at someone. Boil over. So think about if you've ever boiled anything, like if you're boiling potatoes, for example, and you put the potatoes in the water and you turn on the heat and you put a cover. After a while, the water will boil. If you don't take the cover off, the water will boil, and then boil over the pot, right? So we can use the same situation, the same scenario about basically situations, difficult situations or dangerous situations. So when something boils over, it goes past the point of being stable. It loses control. So let's say two nations they don't like each other and they always say something and say something and say something. But then one day somebody throws a rock over the border fence. So then that hatred that they have for each other boils over and then everybody starts fighting and then there's a war. So when a situation becomes too hot, you could say, or too passionate or too whatever, like the situation builds and builds until it loses control. It boils over and then there's a consequence. If something boils down to, like again, if you're thinking about cooking, if you put water and you boil it, eventually the water will boil down to the bottom and there'll be nothing left. Boil down to, in other situations, means the bottom line, which is another idiomatic expression. if you have many things to consider, but when you have to make your final decision, that decision will boil down to one aspect. Lots of things to consider, but the most important thing, that's what it will boil down to. Or let's say I'm a teacher and I have two students, they're fighting and they're being loud in class and disrupting everybody. So I try to make peace between them, but then it boils down to me not being able to teach. So the most important factor in this situation is that I can't teach. So I just kick them out of the class and I tell them, one, go to the principal, one, go to the guidance counselor. My class is quiet. I can teach. The other students can learn. I hope that's a little bit clear. That's a long explanation there. But boil down to focus on the main or most important part. Cut up. So you can cut up your vegetables, you can cut up your meats, etc. You can cut up a person. Okay? If you cut up a person, means one meaning could be you're insulting them, you're cutting them up, you're making jokes about them. You can also cut up people in general, means you make them laugh very much. The comedian cut me up, he made me laugh really hard. Or well, actually, I'll leave it at that. There's other meanings to it, but in terms of the ones you can't guess, that's the most important. To cut up someone, to insult them or make them look bad, or to make people laugh. Swallow up. Swallow up means accept. Like when you take food, you swallow it, you accept it into your body. When somebody is trying to sell you something and you swallow it up, it means you accept it without any questions, right? So a good salesman will make his buyers swallow up anything he gives them. In school, some teachers will teach their students and their students will love the teacher so much they will swallow up anything he says, which is a very dangerous thing. But if it's a good teacher, it could be a very good thing. And pan out. So you know a pan, like for frying. If something pans out, it means it was completed successfully. So all your plans panned out means they were successful, they were completed the way they were intended to. Another meaning for pan out is if you're thinking about a camera and you're focusing on the scene or whatever, and then you pan out, means you get a wider view of what's around this particular scene, like the panoramic. So the camera pans out, gets a wider scene there. Okay? So that's all there is for these phrasal verbs. Again, remember, phrasal verbs, verb and preposition, always remember that there probably is at least one or two or even three more meanings than the words themselves. Okay? And you have to make sure you understand what those are. If you want to make sure you understand these phrasal verbs, go to engVid.com. There's a quiz. You can take the quiz and test your knowledge of these phrasal verbs. You can also ask me questions in the comment section at engVid.com. And if you like the video, give me a like. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And come back next time for more vocab, grammar, and other English tips to help you improve. Okay? See you then. Bye-bye.